As autumn neared in 2025, whispers turned to loud reverberations across Christian social media. A bold claim that the rapture would occur on September 23, 24. At the center was Joshua Malakila, a pastor from South Africa, who announced in a viral video that he had experienced a vision in which Jesus declared those dates as the moment believers would be taken up to heaven. His timing aligned with Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish Feast of Trumpets, which many Christians view prophetically as a key festival linked to end times events. The prediction exploded across platforms. On TikTok, under the hashtag #RaptureTalk, thousands posted their beliefs, fears, preparations, and sometimes mockery. Some people claimed they had sold cars, quit jobs, or begun life changes in anticipation. Even Google searches for Rapture briefly exceeded searches for major pop culture figures. Yet as September 23 and 24 passed, nothing dramatic occurred. No mass disappearances, no grand supernatural event. The majority of believers watched with heavy hearts, dispirited that the prophecy had failed to manifest. Some posted apologies online, expressing regret for spreading the claim and acknowledging the pain of placing faith in a date. Others reinterpreted the moment, insisting it had been delayed, postponed, or symbolic rather than literal. One version floated was that the true event might line up with October dates under a different calendar. This isn't the first time a rapture prediction has failed, and it almost certainly won't be the last. Christian scholars, pastors, and theologians quickly pointed to the biblical teaching that no one knows the day or the hour, Matthew 24:36, as a caution against date setting. Critics argued that repeated failed predictions erode trust, wound vulnerable believers, and make sincere faith appear gullible. Some voices within the Christian community also used the failure as a moment of reflection. How much should Christians engage in prophecy speculation rather than emphasizing discipleship, holiness, service, and the hope of Christ's return in an attitude of readiness rather than certainty? Beyond Christian circles, secular commentators saw the event as yet another case study in how faith and social media intersect, how viral prophecy can become a meme, and how in our digital age doomsday predictions spread more quickly and with more emotional volatility than ever before. In the end, the failed rapture prediction of 23 to 24 September 2025 may be remembered less for what didn't happen than for how it exposed the hopes, fears, and fragile dynamics within modern faith communities grappling with prophecy, certainty, and the longing for a future redemption that transcends human calendars.
The ideology behind the rapture is rooted in a particular stream of Christian theology that blends biblical prophecy, apocalyptic expectation, and a literalist reading of Scripture. At its core, the rapture is the belief that Jesus Christ will one day return to snatch away his true followers, removing them from the earth in a moment of supernatural transformation before a period of global tribulation and judgment. This idea is drawn primarily from passages like 1 Thessalonians 4:16-17, where Paul describes believers being caught up to meet the Lord in the air, and from Matthew 24, where Jesus speaks of one person being taken and another left behind. For Christians who embrace this teaching, the rapture is not symbolic but an imminent physical event that could happen at any moment. For Christians who embrace this teaching, the rapture is not symbolic, but an imminent physical event that could happen at any moment. For Christians who embrace this teaching, the rapture is not symbolic, but an imminent physical event that could happen at any moment. The theology gained prominence in the 19th century through dispensationalism, a system popularized by John Nelson Darby and later spread widely in America through the Scofield Reference Bible. Dispensational thought divides history into God-ordained eras, or dispensations, with the current age expected to close in sudden fashion with the removal of the church. This framework underpins much of modern evangelical prophecy teaching, shaping countless sermons, study guides, and even pop culture depictions like the Left Behind series. For those who hold to it, the rapture is seen as both an act of divine rescue and a dramatic separation between the faithful and the unfaithful, signaling the unfolding of God's final plan for history. For those who hold to it, the rapture is seen as both an act of divine rescue and a dramatic separation between the faithful and the unfaithful, signaling the unfolding of God's final plan for history. For those who hold to it, the rapture is seen as both an act of divine rescue and a dramatic separation between the faithful and the unfaithful, signaling the unfolding of God's final plan for history. The appeal of this ideology rests on hope and urgency. Hope, because it promises believers an escape from the trials of the end times. Urgency, because it calls Christians to live as if Christ could return at any moment. Preachers often emphasize readiness, holiness, and evangelism, urging believers to prepare themselves and others for the possibility of sudden departure. The emotional weight of the doctrine has fueled countless revivals, altar calls, and personal conversions as people respond to the fear of being left behind. The emotional weight of the doctrine has fueled countless revivals, altar calls, and personal conversions as people respond to the fear of being left behind. The emotional weight of the doctrine has fueled countless revivals, altar calls, and personal conversions as people respond to the fear of being left behind. Yet the theology is not without controversy. Many Christian traditions reject the idea of a secret rapture, instead interpreting those same biblical passages as describing the second coming of Christ in one climactic event rather than two separate stages. Critics argue that date-setting and repeated failed predictions damage the church's credibility and distract from the gospel's central message. Even within evangelical circles, debates persist over whether the rapture happens before, during, or after the tribulation, reflecting deep differences in eschatology. Even within evangelical circles, debates persist over whether the rapture happens before, during, or after the tribulation, reflecting deep differences in eschatology. Even within evangelical circles, debates persist over whether the rapture happens before, during, or after the tribulation, reflecting deep differences in eschatology. What makes the rapture such a powerful theo-ideological force is not just its doctrinal detail, but the way it stirs imagination, shapes community identity, and interacts with culture. It fuses theology with a worldview that sees history as racing toward a divine climax, where believers are both actors and expectant witnesses. In the digital age, this ideology finds new expression on platforms like TikTok and YouTube, where prophecy teachers, believers, and skeptics alike turn eschatology into a viral conversation. Whether one believes or doubts, the theology of the rapture continues to captivate because it speaks to a universal human longing, the hope that history has meaning, that justice will be done, and that the faithful will one day be rescued by a God who keeps his promises. Whether one believes or doubts, the theology of the rapture continues to captivate because it speaks to a universal human longing, the hope that history has meaning, that justice will be done, and that the faithful will one day be rescued by a God who keeps his promises. Whether one believes or doubts, the theology of the rapture continues to captivate because it speaks to a universal human longing, the hope that history has meaning, that justice will be done, and that the faithful will one day be rescued by a God who keeps his promises. The connection between the rapture and the Jewish feast of Rosh Hashanah is one of the most fascinating and often discussed aspects of Christian prophecy teaching. To understand why so many believers pointed to September 23, 24, 2025 during the recent failed rapture prediction, we have to look at both the symbolism of the trumpets in Scripture and the prophetic patterns in the Jewish calendar. In 1 Thessalonians 4:16, Paul describes the moment of the rapture with striking imagery. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. That trumpet blast, also mentioned in 1 Corinthians 15:52 as the last trump, is seen by many as a clear link to the ancient festival of Rosh Hashanah, also known as the Feast of Trumpets. In Jewish tradition, this feast marks the beginning of the civil year and is observed with the blowing of the shofar, the ram's horn, which is sounded over 100 times in synagogue services. The final, long and climactic blast is known as the Tekaya Gedolah, the Great Trumpet Blast, which prophecy teachers connect to Paul's description of the trumpet that signals the resurrection and gathering of believers. Rosh Hashanah carries even deeper prophetic weight because it is the only Jewish feast that begins on a day and hour unknown. Unlike other festivals fixed to specific points in the lunar calendar, Rosh Hashanah begins only after the sighting of the new moon, which can be delayed by weather or location. This uncertainty resonates with Jesus' words in Matthew 24:36, where he says that no one knows the day or hour of his return. For prophecy watchers, this unique feature of the feast makes it a perfect fit for the hidden timing of the rapture. The Jewish calendar itself is seen as a prophetic blueprint of God's redemptive plan. The spring feasts, Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, and Pentecost, were fulfilled in the death, resurrection, and outpouring of the Holy Spirit through Christ's first coming. That leaves the fall feasts, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, as symbolic of events tied to Christ's second coming. In this framework, Rosh Hashanah aligns with the rapture, Yom Kippur with the Day of Judgment, and Sukkot with the millennial reign of Christ. The logic is that just as the first feasts were fulfilled precisely and literally, so too will the second set be fulfilled in sequence at the end of the age. This is why the Feast of Trumpets has become such a focal point for rapture expectations. Each year, when the shofar blasts echo across synagogues worldwide, many Christians see not just an ancient Jewish ritual, but a prophetic rehearsal for the day when God Himself will sound the ultimate trumpet. While the September 2025 prediction failed, the underlying theology remains persuasive for countless believers who hold to the view that Rosh Hashanah is the appointed time hidden in plain sight within God's calendar. The failed prophecy serves as a reminder that even if we cannot pinpoint the exact year, the prophetic parallels between the trumpets, the Jewish calendar, and the rapture remain rich with meaning. For the faithful, the takeaway is not despair over dates, but renewed vigilance, living in hopeful anticipation that one year, perhaps on some future Rosh Hashanah, the great trumpet will sound and Christ will gather His people.